Welcome back, everyone. So glad you're joining us for today's explainer. Today, we are unpacking a really beautiful source text, a morning devotional prayer that hones it on the theme of divine guidance. Now, whether you're someone who reads this kind of text every single morning with your coffee, or you're just approaching it from a purely analytical standpoint, the structure and the emotional journey mapped out here, they are highly intentional. We're going to break down exactly how this text constructs a reliable framework for starting your day with total clarity. Which brings us right to a question we literally all face, right? Regardless of our background. How do we find direction and peace when the path ahead is entirely unclear? I mean, life moves so fast and our daily schedules are usually just packed with uncertainty. But what this ancient practice of morning prayer offers, and what our specific source text tackles head on, is a remarkably effective method for handling that exact modern anxiety. It's all about creating a mental and spiritual buffer before the absolute chaos of the day even has a chance to begin. Okay, let's dive into this by looking at one of the very first lines of the text. It says, "Before I move into anything today, I just want to acknowledge how good you have been to me." Just pause and notice how that immediately anchors the reader. It doesn't kick off with some frantic list of demands or a panic attack about the day's to-do list. Instead, it just hits the pause button. It carves out this deliberate, quiet moment of reflection before moving into, well, anything today. Section 1. Starting with grounded gratitude, establishing a baseline of thankfulness. You see, the text uses gratitude as a literal anchor. By expressing thanks for a faithful presence that is never leaving me to walk through life alone, the text intentionally halts the reader's morning momentum. Think about it. Before you can even ask for directions, you first have to acknowledge that you aren't lost, and more importantly, that you aren't wandering through the wilderness in isolation. You are accompanied. Now, what's really interesting here is how the prayer explicitly maps out a temporal shift across time. It acknowledges the past, saying, "never leaving me to walk through life alone." Then it centers the reader right in the present moment. "My heart turns toward you." And from that grounded place, it safely approaches the future, where this day will lead. By actively connecting the faithful presence of the past to the current moment, the text makes facing that vast unknown future feel, honestly, completely manageable. Section 2. The mechanics of divine guidance. How the text visualizes unseen help. The prayer visualizes this so beautifully with this line, "You see what I cannot see. You know every conversation, every decision, every moment waiting for me." Obviously, this is highly poetic imagery, right? But it's also a highly functional mechanism for dealing with the unknown. The text places a divine, omniscient presence just slightly ahead of the reader's immediate reality. The anxiety of having to anticipate every single conversation and decision, it's just lifted right off your shoulders, because the idea is that someone else is already out there evaluating the terrain for you. And this brilliantly illustrates how the text defines divine guidance. It isn't described as some strict, rigid roadmap that you might accidentally fail to follow. Not at all. Instead, it's defined as an active presence that is already ahead and, this is key, leading gently. The source text explicitly states, "Your hand is already there leading me gently." It's not a forceful push from behind, it's a reassuring, steady hand gently pulling you forward into the day. Section 3. Finding clarity over confusion, shifting from anxiety to assurance. Here, the text directly contrasts two completely different states of being. On one side, we have the negative states mentioned in the prayer: pressure, fear, and confusion. You know, the heavy feelings that can so easily hijack our daily lives. But then, the text counters those with the spiritual solutions provided by divine guidance: patience, peace, and steady wisdom. Essentially, the prayer acts as a massive emotional reset, replacing those destructive, chaotic emotions with deeply grounding virtues. And how does it justify this major emotional shift? Well, by leaning on historical proof. The text reads, "There were times I didn't know which way to go, yet somehow things aligned exactly as they needed to." The author uses reflection on past resolutions to build trust for current uncertainties. By remembering that the sheer confusion of the past eventually transformed into clarity and peace, the reader is suddenly empowered to trust the process today. It's like saying, "Hey, it worked out before, it's absolutely going to work out again." Section 4. Trusting the unseen hand, the daily operations of spiritual guidance. So, the crucial point is that this unseen hand is credited with some highly comprehensive actions. We're talking about redirecting when needed, opening the right doors, protecting from the wrong ones, and quietly ordering steps every single day. This is a highly active, highly protective form of guidance. It basically acts as an invisible filter, sorting through all the daily chaos and ensuring you are kept safely on the right path. And it's not just reserved for those big, massive, life-altering crossroads either. The source emphasizes that even in small moments and ordinary situations, this guidance is working gently behind the scenes. The completely mundane is suddenly elevated, simply because it's framed as being carefully managed by a steady, faithful hand. Section 5. A posture of peaceful surrender. Arriving at confidence. The ultimate goal of this entire devotional exercise is summarized right here. Moving through the day with confidence instead of fear. Because the reader has walked through this deeply structured acknowledgement of divine care, they can finally trust that they are being led with love and purpose. The prayer notes that this guidance is never careless. Every little thing carries wisdom and faithfulness, which literally removes any necessity for fear. Let's move on and see how this builds into actionable advice for the rest of the day. The text leaves the reader with 3 really essential steps for maintaining a calm heart. 1. Notice guidance in simple moments. 2. Stay sensitive to peace. And 3. Stop forcing the way forward. It's a profound transition, really, going from constantly striving and stressing to simply observing and trusting. I actually want to read this next line exactly as it appears in the text, because it just perfectly encapsulates the emotional release this prayer is designed to provide. I don't have to force my way forward, because you are already guiding me, and that truth fills me with peace. Just imagine starting your morning by truly absorbing that statement. It's an incredibly resonant, deeply reassuring thought. The entire burden of forcing outcomes is just completely lifted off your shoulders. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a final thought derived directly from the wisdom of this source text. The prayer reminds us that monumental direction often happens so quietly, just right there behind the scenes. So how will you notice guidance in the simple, ordinary moments today? Keep your eyes open, stay sensitive to that steady peace, and remember, you really don't have to force your way forward. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I will catch you on the next one.